I'm a bit partial to survival horror games, and I love a good 2D turn-based RPG. So all of these genres together are kind of a match made in heaven. Look Outside checks the boxes for the genres, and after seeing a comment saying to check it out if you enjoyed Fear and Hunger, I couldn't help but take the bait. Right off the bat, two of the things that the game does really well are the designs and the soundtrack. It might sound small, but having a well-made and fitting soundtrack can make a huge difference, especially with atmosphere. My favorite part of the game has to be the enemy designs. They're very unique overall. They fit the setting of a Lovecraftian cosmic horror taking over the city. Most of the game's horror is derived from body horror and the transformations that the people end up going through. There might be a man who got bit by his baby who ends up growing teeth and gums all over his body, or a tourist who grows fingers for legs and skitters around like a spider. The designs are done incredibly well, and although there are some similar enemies, most of them vary from one another, and you usually end up encountering new enemy designs before they even start to get stale. The game is turn-based, so let's talk about the combat because there's a lot of it. Your options are to attack, to use a skill, guard, or use an item. There's different skills for every weapon type and some unique skills with some gear. Guarding reduces damage and possibly increases evasion, but I couldn't find any proof on that. Most skills cost stamina to use, usually better skills costing more. Characters get more health and more stamina every time they level up, and some bonuses from gear. You have two weapon slots, maybe one melee and a gun in the other, or maybe a two-handed weapon like a mop or a shotgun, and gear slots for your head, torso, and feet, as well as two accessory slots for further build variety. I've seen a couple comparisons to Fear and Hunger, but combat is definitely not similar. There is not limb targeting based combat. There can just be multiple enemies, and occasionally an enemy can morph into different parts. But if you're hoping for tactical limb cutting like in Fear and Hunger, then you will not find it in Look Outside. Another major part of the game is exploration. You start out in your apartment, and this is like your home base. There's night and day and time involved in exploration. Every time you go into a new area, time moves forward some, and there's also a counter at the bottom which goes up and gives you an XP bonus the longer you stay out, or the more areas you discover. You want to go out and explore and scavenge for supplies, but there's also a lot of enemies running around, and in the overworld, the enemies ignore you until you get close enough, and then they get fast and they chase you. You can maneuver around them, but it's kinda hit or miss until you get the hang of it. Although your character by himself is pretty underpowered, there is some incentive to fight because you get XP and money and sometimes items for defeating enemies. Also, when you are exploring, you can come across friendly NPCs, and some of them might sell items, or have a quest for you, or even join your party. After you get a full party, most of the enemies are much more manageable and a lot of the areas open up a lot more. You can only save at your apartment, and only once per trip out, so there's kind of a roguelite element. I think this system is good and it encourages exploration without being too easy or too hard and unfair. There is a lot of backtracking in the game, and this is one of the parts that I was not a huge fan of. There's a dash button, so your character does move kinda quick, but I didn't have a lot of fun running back and forth all the time. There's also very little in the form of guides online right now, and I would say for most people it's better to play the game and discover it for yourself, but some people would prefer to look at guides, which is definitely understandable. So it could be different by the time you're watching, but at the time I made this, there was not a lot of help online. Another thing that I did really enjoy about the game was the writing. There is a surprising amount of good humor for a survival horror game, and a lot of the characters are written really well. I would even say charming despite appearances. The dialogue is well written, and the interactions between characters was really pleasant to see. The game was made by one person, an RPG maker, which is really impressive. Hats off to Francis Columbe. He definitely made a unique game, and although there's a couple flaws, it's a really awesome game. The game is $10, and the amount of entertainment and really cool art that you get out of it is absolutely worth it. There's more layers to the game and a lot of stuff that I left out, so this is really just a condensed version. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leaving a like helps the channel out a lot. If you have any thoughts on the game, I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. I post once every other Sunday, so I'll never clog up your feed. I hope you have a good one. Peace out.